What if I told you that the single most powerful way to completely rebuild your health isn't in some pill bottle, but it's actually at the end of your legs? Today, we're diving into what's called the STEP formula. And this isn't about just, getting your steps in. This is about using walking as a serious biological tool to transform your body from the inside out.
So, let's just start with a kind of crazy question. Is it actually possible to walk away from blindness? I know, it sounds completely out there, but the science behind it is, well, it's fascinating.
And all right, how about this one? Can you physically grow your own brain? I mean, literally make it bigger, and in the process, reverse the kind of shrinkage that leads to things like dementia and Alzheimer's?
Now, as wild as both of those questions sound, the science is in. And the answer to both is a pretty resounding yes. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. You can't just wander around aimlessly and expect some kind of miracle. Nope, it only works if you follow a very, very specific formula.
So let's start our head-to-toe journey through the human body and look at the undeniable proof.
Okay, let's start at the very top, with your brain. A sedentary life, it literally shrinks the part of your brain called the hippocampus. That's your command center for memory. But when you walk the right way, you trigger the release of these things called neurotrophic factors. You're basically forcing more blood into the brain and sparking new cell growth. You are, quite literally, building a bigger, stronger, more resilient brain.
So, how in the world does moving your legs help your eyes? Well, it all comes down to one thing: pressure. Glaucoma, which is a leading cause of blindness, is caused by a fluid buildup that slowly crushes your optic nerve. Walking acts like a secondary pump for your entire body, regulating blood flow and systematically lowering that dangerous internal pressure in your eyes. We've all been sold this idea that you have to punish yourself with brutal, high-impact cardio to have a healthy heart. But get this, the American Heart Association itself confirms it. For preventing heart disease and stroke, walking is just as effective as running. It basically works like a natural beta blocker, scrubbing your arteries clean, but without that massive spike in stress hormones.
But you know what? Maybe the most shocking discovery of all comes from this incredible head-to-head trial. They put walkers up against runners to see who could really manage their blood sugar better. The results were not what you'd expect.
So Duke University set up this 6-month trial. In one corner, you had the runners, going all out with high-intensity cardio. And in the other corner, you had the walkers, who were focused on moderate but really consistent movement.
And the result? The walkers won. And I mean, it wasn't even close. They showed a 6 times greater improvement in their glucose tolerance. So why is that? Well, while sprinting burns a ton of sugar really fast, walking actually trains your body to process it more efficiently. It gives your pancreas a much-needed break.
All right, let's move down to the very frame of your body, your skeleton. Here's a wild fact for you. Your bones, they're electric.
Yeah, it's a mechanism called piezoelectricity. Every single step you take creates a tiny electrical charge in your bones from the impact with the ground. And that little charge, it's a signal. It's a direct command that tells your body, hey, build new bone tissue right here. You're literally telling your skeleton to become armor against things like osteoporosis.
And what about all that nagging back pain so many of us have? Well, the solution lies in understanding how your spine is built. See, those little cushions between your vertebrae, your spinal discs, they're like tiny sponges. And here's the key: they have no direct blood supply of their own.
So they can only get nutrients when they're gently squeezed and released, like a sponge. And walking, it provides that perfect pumping action, circulating fresh nutrients in and forcing all the waste products out. You're not just walking, you are literally oiling the rusty hinges of your own spine.
And finally, let's talk about the mind. Walking performs what you could call a chemical exorcism. It flushes out all that nasty stress hormone, cortisol, and then floods your system with feel-good endorphins. What this means is that a state of depressive, stagnant energy and a body in forward motion are, quite simply, biologically incompatible. They can't exist at the same time.
Okay, so the evidence is it's overwhelming. But remember that catch we talked about? You can't just meander around. You have to follow the protocol. So let's get into the actual blueprint, the FIT formula.
The formula itself is actually pretty simple. It's frequency, intensity, and time. Frequency, look, this one's non-negotiable. It has to be every single day to really reprogram your cells. Next up is intensity, and this is where most people get it wrong. A leisurely stroll, well, it just won't cut it. And finally, time.
The magic number here is 30 minutes. That seems to be the minimum dose required to trigger all these powerful biological shifts.
So how do you find that perfect intensity sweet spot? Well, you use something called the talk test. It's simple. If you can sing a song while you're walking, you're going way too slow. If you're gasping for air and can't speak, you're going too fast. You want to be right in that middle zone where you can talk if you have to, but you don't really want to. That's when you know you're in the zone.
Okay, here are a few final rules to really maximize every single walk. First, drink some water before you go. Swing your arms. That engages your upper body and can burn up to 10% more calories. Try to walk at the same time every day. Morning really is best for resetting your internal body clock. And please put your phone away. Looking down at a screen isn't walking. That's just stumbling with a distraction. So, let's bring all this home, because this is about so much more than just getting in shape. This is about taking back control of your own biology.
I mean, really think about this. The gym industry, they hate this idea. The pharmaceutical companies, they definitely hate this. And why? It's because walking is free. It is shockingly effective, and it is entirely 100% within your control.
Ultimately, it all just comes down to a choice. It's a simple one. You can choose to let your body rust, to let your brain shrink and your bones dissolve, or you can choose to stand up, put on your shoes, and take back your biology.
You have the science, you now have the exact formula. Your first step starts the very moment this is over. So, the only question left is, are you ready?